picking the broadhead for the hunt, because I think that's an important aspect of broadhead selection. You know, something that I think is really important in shooting broadheads, testing broadheads, is getting a variety. One, you want your bow to probably shoot a handful of broadheads well, but just like look at the rifle industry, and a lot of, you know, high-end shooters will tell you to buy a couple brands of load and see what your gun likes the most. And let's be honest, rifles are more accurate, more consistent than a bow. So shooting a couple broadheads and maybe find what broadhead and arrow configuration works with that particular bow and tune of that bow. You throw a new string on it, it may like a different broadhead better. It's worth spending, say, the extra couple packs of broadheads to try a few. And obviously being able to shoot multiple heads, you can see which one is the most accurate for your setup, because arrow going on designated location is probably the #1 factor, right? So these are a couple of my favorite heads here. I will say the slick trick I really like for the ability to throw new blades in it. The negative here is blade thickness and just kind of a toughness factor. This is the Afflictor EXT. This is the broadhead I shot last year. A really good, thick, beefy up front end. The other Afflictor on the table is the K2. This is a 2-blade with 2-blade with bleeders. The K2 is almost a traditional 4-blade. Its bleeders are really big. That is a nasty head and puts a really big hole. I'm going to shoot both those and give those a shot. This is the Day 6 Evo, and this guy is designed to just crush. Now, flight-wise, I tend to get a little better results with vented heads. I think that's obviously, they're just a little more forgiving, whether it be my grip. You know, a lot of times the Indian, it's not necessarily the bow itself, but you know, I find myself getting a little bit better groups consistently at 30+ yards with a vented head. Well, it doesn't matter make, model, but I do think that's worth mentioning. The other thing I think that's really important is picking a broadhead for the situation. I think if I was going to go on an antelope hunt or a mule deer hunt where I might have longer distances, or maybe I'm a food plot hunter and I got to shoot something out there 35+ yards, the mechanical becomes a little bit of something I would consider. Me, myself, I hunt low. I hunt deer in these type of situations right here. You know, situations where I am very close quarters and a deer is kind of looking at me, and generally they could be slightly ¼ or total ¼ And so I like a thicker, beefed up front end. In the past, I've shot the Magnus Black Hornet, which was a good head. And then I've kind of found these Afflictors and really like what I'm seeing as far as a flight characteristic plus that beefed up front end. So let's go ahead and get some shots downrange and see how we're shooting today. So this was the EXT. This is the K2. I actually knew when that shot broke, it was touch left. I'm gonna bump back to 30 and see what we get. EXT. This was the K2. I think I'm gonna go back to 40 and I'm gonna shoot a lot of arrows. And I'll probably take 2 days to do it because there's a touch of wind tonight. It's not terrible, but I'm gonna take a few days and really figure out which arrow and broadhead combo is working the best, or I know what arrow is shooting the best. You know, very impressed so far at 30. We'll see what 40 looks like, or if a winter starts to establish itself this week. I did a little more shooting, and I'd be interested to know what heads you guys like. I think there's a lot of good manufacturers on the market these days, and you can buy anything from some cheaper broadheads to full-blown $100 a pack broadheads or more. But I think I'm gonna go back to that EXT as far as I like a lot of what it does, and it seems to fly the best out of my bow this year, so why not shoot that? Best of luck this fall, guys. Team Harder and Bucks, we're out.